talk about the drowned rat routine. This is insane. The amount of rain that has come down is just crazy. I was out there having fun in the canoe and next minute, bang, out of control. This is great, love it. This is what nature's about, this is what plein air painting's about. Fantastic stuff, couldn't do without it. Alright, g'day there. Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS here again and welcome back. Now today I'm back down the Darling River, midday light, Australia. Fantastic big canvas, white primed. I'm going to use big palette knives as usual and of course tons of oil paint. Alright, now what I've done is I've just drawn in the composition very quickly with a knife, not with a brush or anything. Now I'll go for what I reckon I need to do to get this canvas to look like that, in the order of visual importance. Okay, I'll start with a few more of the darks. Right, what do we got here? Now it's a bit different. I've got the camera set up on the other side today, so that'll be alright. The last few videos I've done, I've had the camera coming from this angle. I've gotten used to kind of facing that way, but this time, facing this way. Anyway, let's go, right. Just mix up some darks now in here. Bit of ultramarine blue with the burnt sienna makes a hugely good dark. Bit of a alizarin crimson doesn't hurt. Get these areas fairly dark to start with and we can lighten her up as we go. Bit more ultramarine blue with the burnt sienna. Okay, so that trunk, we got that trunk's going that way. That's good, okay. Bit of yellow ochre with the burnt sienna. There's quite a light tone reflecting in those trees in the shadows. I'm using burnt sienna and yellow ochre as the light bounces back in. Alright. Okay, what do we got on this side? Right. Pull that in there, like so. The occasional fly kicking around the place as usual. Nothing strange there. Alright, now I'll just shut this because this kind of might be interfering with the composition a bit, getting in the way, so I'll just shut that out of the way. Right, a bit of foreground. Burnt sienna, I might lighten that a bit with a bit of white. Tiny bit of ultramarine blue to knock it back a bit. Bit more burnt sienna, not quite so killed chromatically. That blue really grays it very quickly. Okay, so we'll just put that in. Bit of blue and white on the edges of the shadow, just to cool her off a bit. Some green tufts here. I'm putting the shadow tones in first mainly. So I'm just trying to feel my way in this composition. I've got yellow ochre and burnt sienna there with a bit of red and green. Some of the grassy tufts just here. Just lighten that a bit. Fill that in. Burnt sienna, ultramarine blue and white. Another lovely day down here. Pretty warm though. Pretty warm day today. Okay, so we'll just keep moving around the canvas, just getting a feel for the composition. Feel for the gum trees and whatever. Alright, now I'll put some of those lovely blues that are in the water, and they're a lighter tone, those shadows just at the base of those trees. Tiny bit of viridian and burnt sienna with it. Just get it all in there. We can take bits out later on, or add bits. It's okay, it's good to put the dark in first. Bit more blue than that, a bit more white, a bit less green. Yeah. So I say that, and just on the edge there, there's a little bit of more of that water tone shadow. The actual colour of the water itself, which is kind of a brown and greeny khaki. I'm just getting some basic overriding shadow tones in, and then we can go for it after that. Right, I'll stand back and have a look, eh? See what we've got today. Now, yeah, that's working. I'm liking that composition. Okay, now I've changed the horizon line a few times when I was sketching in, just tried to lower it until I felt it was correct. Now, I might put some of the shadow tones of those foliages in. What do we got? See all these trees themselves. So, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, a little bit of viridian green. Just match it up as you go. Put it where you reckon. It doesn't have to be exactly what's there, just put a pleasing shape composition. A lot of variety and whatever else. A few tufts here, a few tufts there. Some coming down here, some coming down there. Let me have a look, eh? Always composing. Right, yeah, leave a little bit of that foliage out there. Might leave a bit out there so I can let the eye travel through better. Right, now mix up a bit of magenta and blue and white. Ultramarine blue, magenta and white. If I mix that in with my greens, it'll just knock the greens back a bit. Not that much, but what it does is it knocks them back a little bit, seeds them off into the distance it's had. keep altering as you go. Just putting shadowy tones, yeah, I might lighten them straight up. A bit more white, a bit more magenta. Just killing that distant colour off. Those trees on the other side of the bank there. They're a little bit further away, like I said, so knocking the tone back a bit. Just kills them off a bit so they recede. Don't compete too much with the subject. Alright. Okay. Now, this is going to be the water's edge here. We'll just put that in. Like so. Alright, stand back, make sure I've got everything correct. Yeah, that's alright. Let's just get this sky in next, because it is actually, the sky is quite a major thing now between what we're seeing back there and what we've got here. Okay. Spectrum blue, no, I'm sorry, that's ultramarine blue. Got a bit of phthalo blue over there too, which is a cooler one. And white. Just knock that in between the gaps, try not to touch the paint too much just yet. We'll blend them soon, but if we mix them up and touch them too much now, we'll simply just get bits of mud, which is not what we want. So just very delicately put them in. Something along those lines. Alright, go a little bit darker, so a bit more straight ultramarine blue and white. A bit less white, a bit more blue. Darken the tone off a bit. What have we got there? Some. Right. Going with a bit of draftsmanship there. Getting in the gaps. Yeah. There we go, like that. There and there. Right, now just go a tad darker, even again, maybe a little bit of magenta. That magenta will just make it ever so slightly redder, and that is what I want. A bit darker and a little bit more red as it gets up higher on. A little bit more blue, so we've got less white. Colour in between the gaps. It's a little bit of fun and games playing patchworks here at the moment between all the areas. There's the tree. Now, I might just use a little bit of phthalo, which is a cooler colour like we described, much greener colour, but it's such a strong colour that needs a little bit of atmosphere. Just do a bin run. Needs a bit of atmospheric colour as well, so stick that there. And we'll mix up a tiny bit of burnt sienna, yellow ochre and white. More yellow ochre and white. What do we do with that palette? Stick it over there in the works. Okay, so we'll mix up a lovely brew there, look at that. Now you got that, half mix it with this, which makes it kind of an atmospheric tone. It should just, wait till I get the blend how I like it. So it's just keyed it down a bit. So you got that atmosphere in the distance here, it's just keying it down to those. As it recedes off, it's a little bit receded in colour. Get that with that brown, half mixing it in. Getting there, getting there. Just blend them a little bit together. Blend those different tones together a bit. Random marks. Going different ways. Blend, 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 blend. Right, I'll stand back and have a look, eh? See what we've got. Okay, we're getting there. I'm starting to feel a bit of sunlight coming into the picture, which is good. Just feel like I can lower this edge a little bit, so I'll do it. Let's have a look. Painting a few of those distant trees in the background. Alright, now that water's pretty important now, I reckon, so we'll get that in. What colour is that water today? Yellow ochre and burnt sienna and viridian green is a good start. Yellow ochres, viridian greens, burnt siennas. Let's just have a look what we got. That's cool. Now I might just thin some of that shadow paint so it doesn't distract me too much. Take a little bit of it off. It's the underpainting, you see, so now I've got that fairly thin. Start painting the water in. She goes. Doesn't matter where you go on the river, any one of these rivers. I was on the Darling River only just yesterday, but I was in a different spot. And the water was a different colour, believe it or not. It varies so much, it's unbelievable. So that's the beauty of working on location. You get to pick up all those subtleties that you may not see if you're not out here, if you're just working from photograph. Oh, she's getting a bit warm today, I'll tell you what, she's getting a bit warm. It's all part of it, isn't it? It's all part of it. Okay. There you go, just drop that water's edge in. I'm leaving bits of the canvas showing. Oh. Getting salt into my eyes from sweating. That's how blinking hot it can get when the wind cuts out a bit and she gets hot and still. Alright, let's just mix up a bit of blues, white. Got a bit of phthalo and ultramarine mixture there. Just want to knock in a few of these sky tones while I'm seeing them. The sky's reflecting, obviously reflecting in. There, stick her in there like so. I'll do a bit more blending soon. I'll just sort of get a bit of a feel for it first. A bit of a feel for what's going on. Right, what have we got there? Okay, white, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, bit of that sky blue in with it, painting the colours of the banks. They are definitely a keynote now, so let's get them in there. Bit more yellow ochre. Just get it in there like so. Alright, let's have a look what we've got here. Put that distant foliage just bouncing around out there, stick that in. White, yellow ochres, burnt siennas. Get a feel for what's going on. A bit more burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Sorry, a bit more yellow ochre and white with a tiny bit of burnt sienna. Should be saying, there we go. Stick that in here where it's reflecting. Right, I'll get some of this foreground in. It's always so much to do on a big paint, isn't there? So burnt sienna again, those yellow ochres and whatnot. Cake it on, nice and thick in the foreground. Oh yeah, what fun. Put tons and tons of paint on there. More yellow ochres. Bit more yellow ochre. Variety of marks. Burnt sienna, white, yellow ochre, half mix. Power it in there, blow the flies away. chunk it in, chunky style. Okay. Right, bit of green, yellow. More yellow. Doing some upward marks. There's a bit of grass and stuff just in the foreground here. Just imitating that. Within reason. Get rid of some of the white over here, that's a bit too much white. Right, let's have a look. It's getting there, there's almost so much to do. Right, I can't finish anything yet. It's time now to just start putting the gum trees together a bit. Because you've got to keep working around the canvas, don't just go with what you like or whatever. Or what you want to finish, there's no time for finishing stuff straight away. You've got to there's half mix throwing in there. You just got to get the stuff in there, you just can't muck around, pretty much. Mixing up some half mix colours on purpose to get the bark and whatever. And the blinking sun just went out, didn't it? Where's that sun gone? Where has the sun gone? A little bit of alizarin. There's a lot of subtle colours in that in those trees. Bit of alizarin crimson, sort of pinky colours. The more you can pull out that variety, the more the painting's going to sing and dance. I just love painting these river gums, absolutely love it. Okay, a bit more shadow on the side here. Burnt sienna, blue, extremely dark here. This is the keynote here. There's a lot of dark, and that'll really set it off as being the foreground. Always so much to do. So much to do, so much fun. Here we go, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. Just bending that trunk up like so, doing a bit of draftsmanship. Getting a little bit of mud there. Picking out that draftsmanship again with a few darker tones. So much to do in a gum tree painting this close up. Like, there's big painting, a lot of foreground because it's all gum tree. So much to do, so much of a challenge. But so much blinking fun, I love it. Oh, I love it. Right. Clean that off. Scrape this back to reveal that under trunk there. Pull that across to get the draftsmanship. Pull through here to soften the sky where it's meeting. Like I say, just pull through with a clean knife. Let's have a look. Alright, now there's a few clouds starting to kick in, which is, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but they're there. Okay. Just keep working around, just keep building up the composition. Working with the good bits that would come as we see them. What's happening over there? Right. Just adding some of those reflections in across the other side of the bank there. They're definitely a keynote of the painting. Just pull through, wipe clean. Varying the marks here and there. Pulling through to soften a few edges. Okay. Just want to vary a few of these marks here. Feeling of the grass. Start to add a bit of the light foliage where the sun's hitting the light on the gum trees. Just lightly pull through, a bit more white, hold it as you go. Whew, flies coming in. Okay. Just lightly touching, letting the underpaint show through also. Right, so what's the next difference? Well, those clouds have really come in now, haven't they? There's a big change up there. Big change. And the thing is, what do you do about that? Do you go with it? Start to add a few clouds? Maybe you do. We'll try it. Bit of magenta. There's a lot of magenta on the underside of those clouds. A little bit of burnt sienna and blue. Beautiful light fluffy clouds. The undertone of that cloud is beautiful. Just going to stick a few of those clouds in, not too many, just I like the look of them. They're kind of arresting. You can feel the atmosphere and intensity in them. Everything changes. See, it's also changed the colour of the water. You know? That's the thing. Once one thing happens somewhere, the rest of the painting changes. Everything is related to everything else in a picture, so there's a bit more of that reflecting down in here. The water's really changed, it's lightened up. Because of that sky. Throwing a few of the shadows that are casting up the tree. Just with a bit of that white, a little bit of cad yellow. It's going to knock in some of those beautiful bright clouds that have appeared out of nowhere. Got to say that they are beautiful clouds. Yeah, they are beautiful. Beautiful looking clouds. Look at the way they're fluffing along in the sky there. Alright, so we're getting there. The light's changing all the time. This is one of those days where it's not a consistent light. You've got all sorts of things going on and there's tons of clouds kicking in and whatever else, but that's all cool. So what you do on a day like that, you just go with it and just work it out as you go. Just constantly refining everything. Just want to pick out the edge of this beautiful little trunk here. Bring it up like so. Get the draftsmanship correct. Correctamundo. Okay. Well, that sky has now become, see, things change. That sky now is really one of the focal points. It's like, tonally is like demanding. Whereas before, the sky was quite a dark tone really. So it changes your idea of composition, what you're doing at the time. So that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on, you've got to be flexible when you're a plein air artist. What you planned at the start is not always the case, because quite often the weather changes. But what you do is you make the most of the situation and you find the beauty in any subject, any day. That's the way to go. If you can find that, then you've got it made. Alright, so we're getting there. The sun keeps coming in and going. Might mix up a bit of light magenta with some white, a little bit of cad yellow, because that soil is such a high key light colour now. I'll just put some of that in. Just changes now that there's light and shadow in the atmosphere. Things keep on changing. So I'm breaking it up with beautiful colour harmonies. Just lightly putting colour in that is there, finding the beauty in nature and bringing it out. There we go, look at that. Right, what do we got? Starting to get there now, starting to get there. Right. Alright, so we're getting there. We've got some beautiful colour combinations going on here. Some lovely shadows starting to kick in. Blues and magentas falling on the ground here. Stick them in, because they're the complementary colour, of course, to the sunlight. So a little bit lighter in tone, a bit more white with the magenta, ultramarine blue. Complementary colours. Mixing it up a bit. It's been a funny old day today. It's been light and shadow. There's been this and that. But that can sometimes be a bonus, because what it does, it gives you way more options to work with. Oops, hang on, here we go. Here we go. Lightly get some of that light green. Just lightly pull that through. Some of the bank colours reflected in. It's a very subtle thing that goes on in the water when you get those ripples and whatever. So you just sort of bring them all in, subtle tones all together. But it's all starting to come together now, which is, well, guess what? It's exactly what we want. Soften that edge there. It's about hard and soft, lost and found edges. Getting there, getting there. Now just clean this patch here. Just grab a little bit of white and ultramarine blue. Just want to mix up a tiny bit more sky colour. So that was near the top, so it had the magenta in it. Ultramarine blue and magenta. Okay, just want to pick out some composition here, just, you know, finishing touches, getting things how you like them. Putting a little bit of that blue into the foliage itself, painting the negative space, just a little bit of lightly touching over to fill in that negative space. So what I'll do now is I'll lighten the tone for the lower stuff. Just here again. Just a little bit lighter because we're a bit further down now. Just cleaning up a few, you know, getting some draftsmanship with the knife. You don't have to use a pencil to draw. Draftsmanship is just getting the form, and you can do that with the knife. Just get the knife on edge, cut away a bit. Just building that draftsmanship there and put reflected light. Nice. There's some beautiful light coming in now with those clouds, those unexpected clouds that first came in, and well, they disturbed my piece to say the least, but now I'm kind of happy with it. Just drawing a few of those subtle branches in to give the feeling of the detail. I'll stand back and have a look at that. Alright, so we're getting in now. Just a few more finishing touches. I tell you what, the rain has started to come in. It's going to rain, there's a few thunderstorms and whatever else, so it's all part of it. Nature's doing its thing, which is great, we love that. So what I'll do is, I better finish off before the painting gets too wet. Sometimes you've just got to do what nature tells you to do. If it's telling me to stop because it's wet, maybe I will stop. Alright, well there you go, that's about it. Got the big impression. The light kept on changing. It's gone, not a full sunny day, it's gone light and shadow, clouds. To tell you the truth, after I started, most of the day had no sun, just overcast, which really made it a lot harder to judge, because in the morning I was judging all the colours and tones how I wanted them. Next minute it went and changed on me. But that's plenty of painting for you. And sometimes the best paintings you can do are done when you least expect it. When nature challenges you and you think, wow, what am I going to do? Pull something out of your hat and hopefully it can work. And that's when you're working proper plein air painting. That's where you're working by the seat of your pants. Alright, well, I'll get the camera off now and let you have a look. Okay, now if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell and forward it on to your friends, thumbs up and spread the good word in general. Alright. Bit of a thunderstorm coming in.